Hi world, it's the 30th of September 2022. It's about 3:45 in the afternoon UK time. This is my forecast for October. Now, I've just finished doing a set of 13 videos for a video channel I work for on the side. So I'm really fresh with what's coming up in October. And the overview, the overall sense of October is that firstly, there's an element of frustration, irritation, impatience and anger at a low, bubbling under, sizzling level that's gradually getting stronger and stronger. And this is not being directed towards ourselves or each other, but more towards the idiots who rule our lives. Very objective, detached, impersonal opinion there. Particularly in this country, my country. But there's also, in the background, a growing sense of imminence. And I'll come back to that statement in a couple of minutes. So let's look at what's going on. The full moon this month, on the 9th of October, it's happening around 16 degrees of Aries. It's not a difficult full moon, even if it is conjunct Chiron. It's not really going to hit that many people. Yeah, maybe it's going to hit those people born around the 7th, 8th, 9th of July, October, January, April. But that's the exception rather than the rule. It's not a serious full moon. In fact, it should be quite spectacular. If you get out on the night of the full moon and you look at it and you stand and hold your hand out wide and spread your four fingers, you should find that the distance between the full moon and Jupiter is about that width. It's not that far apart. It's not conjunct. It's half a sign away. But you should see, because Jupiter is so bright at the moment. It's so clear. It's a lovely. Jupiter's closer now than it has been for 50 years. The new moon at the end of October on the 25th is at 2 degrees 0 of Scorpio. It's a partial eclipse. It's not a big deal. But it is going to impact particularly over Eastern Europe with the Ukraine and Russian war, and it's going to be very interesting to see what comes up there, because things are changing in that field quite dramatically. As far as the outside world goes, well, let's look at what's not happening first of all. Venus starts the month in Libra, stays there until the 23rd of October, then it moves into Scorpio, same day as the Sun. Okay. Mercury will stop going retrograde. Now there's been, in this last 2 or 3 months, there's been a lot of retrogrades. For example, over September, most of September, we've had Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Chiron, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, all retrograde. The only planets that weren't retrograde were Venus and Mars. And Mars is slowing down. It's going to go retrograde at the end of this month. But before that happens, in October, a number of planets are going to stop going retrograde. Mercury will stop going retrograde on Sunday morning, about 9 a.m. UK time. Pluto will stop going retrograde on the 8th of October. Saturn will stop going retrograde early morning on the 23rd of October. So much of the sort of frustration and the sort of banging heads against a brick wall is going to slowly yield results. There's going to be breakthroughs. And this goes along with what else is going on, because, okay, so we know that Mercury is retrograde is stopping. It's going to move back into Libra around about the 10th of October, 10th of October, yeah. And then it's going to whiz through Libra and move into Scorpio at the very end of the month. But there's going to be a brief period with Mercury where it's going to get rather tetchy. And this is going to be basically in this first week of October. Apart from that, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, I'm not worried about them. Jupiter is retrograding back through very early Aries, and by the end of this month it will step back into Pisces, where it will then stay until mid-December when it moves forward into Aries again, and then it's going to rocket through Aries in the first few months of next year. Aries, get ready, because the first few months of next year are going to be spectacular. Don't need to really to look at Pluto. Standing still, 26 Capricorn, affecting everybody born in the last 4 days of Cancer, Aries, Capricorn, Libra, but ongoing. What I am looking at are the movements of Jupiter, of Neptune and Mars, and Saturn and Uranus. Let's deal with Saturn and Uranus first. Saturn has been square Uranus on and off for the last year and a half. It's the fallout from COVID. And Saturn in Aquarius, Uranus' sign, is trying to bring some type of structure and order into the more unconventional, whilst Uranus is in Taurus, where it's not comfortable at all, and it's kind of trying to revolutionise ideas around what it is that is of value and worth. It's changing our ideas about money and possessions. And they're square to each other. And this is a kind of forced confrontation over a long period of time, which is culminating now, between the need, or the desire at least, for things to carry on exactly the way they've been. Clear boundaries, clear structures, hard work and the rich make the money, as opposed to the way it's going to be in the future, which is going to be perhaps less insane profits driven and more back to the way it was perhaps 25, 30 years ago, where profits were capped at sort of 25, 30% instead of 300%. I'm not anti-capitalist by a long way. I believe everyone should have the right to make money and even make profit, but not insane profits where one person makes everything and everybody else suffers, which seems to be happening in my country at the moment. So Saturn square Uranus, on the one hand, it's bringing structure into the chaos. It's trying to bring a sense of order into the way we're revolutionising our ideas about money and possessions. But at the same time, it's revolutionising our limitations. It's changing structures from concrete and steel into rubber and elastic. We're bending the rules instead of breaking them. Now Saturn is square Uranus for the final time, for many, many years. And as we get into November and December, this will pull away, but there's still a sting in the tail to come. More on that in a moment. Mars is slowing down in Gemini, and is particularly impacting now on the charts of those people born around the 11th to the 16th of June, September, December and March over this coming month. And normally that's not a problem because Mars goes retrograde every 2 years, but this time he's going retrograde, and the whole of this month and next month, Mars is square Neptune. Mars square Neptune is such a weird aspect. It brings two energies together that have nothing in common. Mars is projective and assertive and dynamic, and it loves being in Gemini because it can be vocal. Neptune in Pisces, in its home, is comfortably nebulous and dissolving everything it touches and bringing an element of, oh, want to go to sleep, want to lay in hot water. Mars square Neptune, it will diffuse all the energy, it will melt all the energy, it will bring a lot of fatigue, whilst at the same time it will heat up the water. So the single best therapy here is a blend of the physicality of Mars with the spirituality of Neptune. So Tai Chi, yoga, Qigong, swimming, and best of all, dance. Because dance blends the physical and the spiritual. And I'm not sending you to go and do tango or rumba or ballet classes. I'm not sending you clubbing, but I'm saying dance while you do the washing up. Dance while you're doing the vacuuming. Just put some music on and dance. It's great therapy. There's a sense of frustration with Saturn square Uranus, and there's a sense of everything dissolving with the Mars square Neptune. But in the background, there's also this sense of imminence. We're coming up for an absolutely humongous eclipse on November the 8th, where the total eclipse of the moon in Taurus will be exactly conjunct Uranus, and the following full moon will be exactly conjunct retrograde Mars in Gemini on the 8th of December. And we're heading into a I'm not going to swear, but a proverbial fecal storm. And those people who sit back and expect things to be just the same as they've always been and consider themselves entitled are going to come a cropper. Whereas those people who are out there who are dancing with the future, who are daring to think of alternatives, who are beginning to look at the world in a different way to they have in the past, they're the ones who are poised to take the most of these times. We're heading into a crazy time. But out of this, This is led into gold. This is the alchemy. This is a flower opening. I'm actually very positive about some of the stuff that's coming up next year as we run into the big change of 25, 26. But let's get there first. This coming month, confusing, nebulous. The wise people will deliberately choose not to let their buttons get pushed, and they will beaver away at making changes in their personal lives and clear the decks so that when the change of November comes in, it doesn't have to negotiate old baggage. So weed, prune, streamline, clear the decks. You know it makes sense. Catch you later. Bye.